Welcome everyone to our lecture on the topic on the chapter of laws of motion. Today we are going to cover the rod against a wedge constraint. And like in the last video, we covered the idea of rod constraints, that how when a rod is moving against a wall or rod is moving in free space, then for rigid rods, all the points on the rod have same velocities along the rod. So, how do we apply those ideas in this case? So, let's see. So, first we have a horizontal plane and we have an incline. So, the incline is kept on a surface and we have a wedge. This is the wedge, and we have basically a rod, we can say, uh, which is blunt at one end at the angle which is same as that of the angle of inclination of the wedge. So basically the rod can freely slide against the wedge, and that is the idea. So in this question what would we be doing? So in this question or in this particular topic, our idea is that if the angle of inclination is some theta, then what is the relation between the motions of the wedge and the rod, this fat rod which is coming down. So the idea which we need to use in this case is that of the common normal idea. That the common normal of the two surfaces in the contact, in which direction it is. So what we usually do is that when we have a rod and a wedge constraint, we are the forces acting in this case are not important at first, because we are talking about the velocities and accelerations. So even though the surface between the rod and wedge is rough, or between the wedge and the surface is rough, that does not matter, or that won't change the constraint equations which we are going to get, or the relations which we are going to get. So basically what we want to find is that if the wedge is moving, how would the rod move? That is what the idea is. So like I said, what idea which we want to use is that is when we are talking about two bodies sliding on top of each other, like this rod is sliding on this wedge, then the velocities of the point of contact, so the point of contact on the rod, let us take some this point which is on the surface of the rod, and the point on the wedge which is on the wedge. So these 2 points can be called the points of contact. So these are the 2 points which we are talking about, and the velocities of these points of contact, and not only velocities, we can straight up say the accelerations of these points of contact along a common normal. So let us draw a common normal. So the idea is that the velocities of points of contact along this common normal have to be equal. That is, let us say the rod is going down with some velocity. It is going down with some velocity Vr, and the wedge is going in towards some direction with some velocity Vw. Then the whole wedge is going with the velocity Vw, and the whole rod is coming down with the velocity V rod. That means the point of contact would also be going down with the velocity V rod, and the point of contact on the wedge would also be going in the rightward direction with the velocity Vw. Then the components of these velocities along this common normal which we have drawn with the dotted line have to be equal. That is the idea which we are looking for. So what would be the component? We already know that the vertical direction or the gravitational force makes an angle theta, right? So this angle would be theta. In case the gravitational force is basically replaced by the velocity, so the component of velocity of the rod along the common normal is this Vr cos theta, right? And similarly, we would be able to easily say that the velocity of the wedge in this direction, in the common normal direction, what velocity would that be of this point of contact? This point of contact would be moving to the right, but its velocity along this common normal has to be equal to that one. So this angle, we know this angle is theta. So this component which is away from theta is the sine theta component. They would say Vw sine theta. They would say Vw sine theta is equal to Vr cos theta. So Vr upon Vw is equal to tan theta. And we can differentiate it to get accelerations. We can say acceleration of the rod is equal to acceleration of the wedge tan theta. So this is the relation which we are looking for. As I said, we could have directly written the acceleration, but we have taken velocities. So the relative velocity, the velocity of the point of contact along common normal is 0. That means that the relative velocity along the common normal becomes 0. This can be understood in one more way. So what we'll do is that we'll be quickly drawing this wedge again, and let us say this is the surface, this is the rod in its initial position. So what we have to remember in this method is to completely drop the rod to the horizontal surface. So we have dropped the rod to this horizontal surface. So when the rod is being dropped to the horizontal surface, how much distance has the rod traveled? So the rod has traveled some distance y, right? It has traveled this distance y. Now as the rod has come down, through what distance would the wedge move? So as the rod has come down by this y distance, the wedge would replace to the right by this particular distance. To the right like this, as we have drawn. As the wedge is coming down, as the rod is coming down, the wedge would start shifting to the right. And when it has completely come down, then the wedge would have completely shifted to the right. So the wedge would have traveled this x distance. And this angle is theta. So we would say that y is equal to x tan theta, where y is the displacement of the rod and x is the displacement of the wedge. And if we differentiate it, we would get this relation which we are looking for this relation. This is the relation which we will get once we differentiate this. So we will get the same relation. So this is the rod and the wedge constraint. Okay, then we have the rod constraint against two wedges. Instead of one wedge, we have two rod and a wedge, and the rod is now horizontal. So we have a horizontal rod. So let us draw horizontal rod, and we have two wedges. So let's say we have wedge number 1 and we have some wedge number 2. Let's say both the wedges are identical for our case. So both these wedges are identical. And what is going to happen is that they are going to travel in some horizontal direction. So this acceleration is some a1, this acceleration is some a1, and this acceleration is some. So yeah, we are saying that both the wedges would be going away with some acceleration, and this is the rod. This is the rod which you are talking about, and these are two wedges. Right. So let's say the angle of inclination of both the wedges is theta. and both the wedges are going away with the accelerations a1 a1. The rod is coming down with an acceleration a2. So what would be the relation between a2, a1 and a1? So again we can do the same idea which we did in the last question. One idea could be that we could bring the rod completely down, and then we'd say what is the relation between accelerations and such, or we can simply say what would be the acceleration of this rod in this particular direction along the common normal. So let us draw the common normal. So the acceleration of the rod along this direction, so the rod is going down with an acceleration a2, this point would also be going down, and that component along the common normal would be some a2 cos theta. The component of acceleration, this angle would be some theta, so the component of acceleration in this direction would be a2 cos theta. Similarly, the component of acceleration of the wedge in that direction, common normal, would be sine theta. So I can say that a2 is equal to a1 tan theta, and that is the relation which we would be getting. Next, we'll be looking at an interesting idea of a rod kept on a hemisphere. So, what if a rod is kept on a hemisphere and now we want to eliminate the determine the constraint relation? So, you have a rod and we have a hemisphere like this. So, this is a very interesting one actually. And you have a hemisphere. Let's say the radius of the hemisphere is some r, right? So the radius of hemisphere is some r. The rod is some extending over this hemisphere, and it is touching this this hemisphere at some point C, and let's say this is the other end of the rod A. So what is asked of us is that let's say the hemisphere is going rightwards with the velocity some v2, and the point A is going leftward with the velocity some va. So what would be the relation between V2 and Vm? Given that this particular line or the rod makes an angle theta with the horizontal. If we are given that, what is the relation between V2 and Va? So we know that this particular distance, the distance which we are covering from point C to, let's say, the center of hemisphere, which is B, is r. This distance is r, that we know. We know this angle is 90 degree. So we can say this angle would be 90 minus theta, and that would give us this angle to be some theta, and this angle we know. So this distance AB, what does this distance AB represent? Distance AB represents the distance between the end point of the rod and the center of the hemisphere, right? And this is basically what we want, how the hemisphere is moving to the right and how the rod is moving to the right, what is the relation between them. So shouldn't that be the rate of change of this distance AB? The distance AB is represented by the center of hemisphere and the end point of the rod. So the point A is moving to the left with the velocity Va, and the hemisphere moving to the right with the velocity V2. So this rate of change of this distance AB should give us the relative velocity Va and V2, that is Va plus V2. What we meant by saying is that the differentiation of the distance AB should give us the relation between Va and V2, because that would be the relative change, that should be giving the relative change of the distance between the point C and B. We know the rate of change of position of point A is Va, and rate of change of position of point D is v2. So when we are talking about the distance AB, its rate of change should give us VA plus V2, as the point C and B are going towards going away from each other. So what we're doing is that let us find distance AB, and as we can see, AB is pretty easy to evaluate. So the distance AB is is actually, this angle is theta, this particular distance is r. So distance AB is actually r cosec theta, and let us just differentiate it. So d by dt of AB distance, that should give us VA plus V2. So this should be equal to d by dt of r cosec theta. So as r is a constant, r would simply come outside, and d by dt of cosec theta. Now the differentiation of cosec theta is cot theta cosec theta, and we'd get d theta by dt since theta is a variable with time. So this is the rate of change of the distance between the points A and B. So this should be equal to, this whole expression should be equal to VA plus V2. Now we come on to some common questions which are asked in this idea, like this question. So what we have is a pulley, pulley 1 and pulley 2. So this is the pulleys which we have, pulley number 1 and pulley number 2. So this is the pulley number 1, this is the pulley number 2. Let us say you have two strings, and you have a string like this, and you have a mass M. So this is the pulley A, this is the pulley B, and the points P and Q are on these strings as shown. So P and Q move with the speed u in downward direction. This speed is given as u in downward direction. The M moves with the speed of, with what speed would M move? So how to do this one? We are given that this angle is some theta. Both these angles are theta. So what about strings, right? When we talk about strings, how to think about strings? So for strings, we'll be thinking in the same idea, that velocity of all the points on the string must have the same velocity along the string. Now, in which direction do we think this mass M would be moving? So this mass M would be moving vertically upwards, right? It would be moving in vertically upwards direction with the velocity v. Let's say that velocity is some v. So now since the mass M is moving with the velocity v, that means the point on the string which is in contact with the mass M would also be moving with the velocity v. Now this is the part where we have to learn something and we have to focus on it. Like for the rod, it was pretty clear that we are talking about the points on the rod and such. But now when two things are in contact which are moving with respect to each other, and the angle of this angle which the string makes with the vertical is changing and all things are happening, we have to concentrate on what points we are talking about. So even though we are saying that the velocity of the whole mass is m, mass is m and its velocity is v, we are not talking about the velocity of m anymore. We are talking about the point on the string. which is in contact with the mass m, and we are saying that since it has to remain in contact with mass m, it would move with the same velocity as mass m, which is going to be v. So we'd say that velocity of all the points on the string have to be the same component along the string. So we'd say that the component of the velocity of that point along the string would be v cos theta, and that v cos theta should be equal to the velocities of points on the string along the string, which is u. So we would say that v is equal to u by cos theta. So this solves this this particular question. So the option B would be right. Next. So the last idea in the ideas for constraint relation is the rod and the rod, pulley and a string combination. So in the rod, pulley and string combination, we basically have a rod and we have a ring. So this is the ring which we are talking about. This is the ring which we have drawn in blue. Ring. The ring is connected to the pulley like this, and this is the mass m, angle theta, and this is the rod. So the rod is smooth, the ring is smooth, everything is smooth. So this is the case which we have. Basically the mass m would be moving down with some velocity, unknown velocity v. We are given the velocity of the ring, it is u. So again we will be doing the same thing. We would say that velocity of the ring is u, velocity of the point on the string which is connected to the ring along the string. So the velocity of that point along the string would be u cos theta. The component of its velocity, the velocity of this point, the velocity of this point basically is u, which is on the string, but its component along the string would be u cos theta, and the whole system would be moving with the velocity v. So u cos theta should be equal to v. So this gives us an idea to how to proceed in such questions. So thank you for joining in this particular video. I hope you learned something, and in the next video we'll be starting with the idea of pseudo forces and how we use them in the ideas with laws of motion. So thank you.